Hello, I think we're live. So, hey everyone, I am Charlotte. I lead marketing and comms at Lombard, and I'm really excited to be hosting the first Lombard Lounge with loads of the Lombard team, not all of the Lombard team, but definitely some of the OGs today. The goal of this live stream is basically just to introduce ourselves to you. The people that are building Lombard are obviously super dedicated, been working on this project for about a year now. I got the alert on my LinkedIn the other day saying that it's been a year. So been working on Lombard for about a year, but realizing that you only really see some of the faces. I think Jacob's obviously out there on stage. Maxim is joining all of the spaces, and Dono, I think Dono and Matt have been on spaces, but you've never seen me and you've never seen Kev before. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity to introduce ourselves to you, so you can get to know us a bit better, understand like what we each work on. A day in the life of Maxim is definitely quite interesting, so we want to share that with the world, and also give you the opportunity to ask some questions as well. So if you do have questions, just drop them in the Twitter thread, and we'll try and get to answer those at the end. Definitely aiming to do lots of these live streams, hopefully one a week, for the foreseeable, so that you can see all of these faces more. I want to get Matt hosting streams and Kev hosting streams with some of our partners as well. So yeah, this is hopefully the first of many. So yeah, all right. I think we should probably start with doing like around the house and everyone introducing themselves and just talking about their role at Lombard and ultimately why you're here. I'll throw to Mr. Matthew Marshall first because you're next to me.
Thank you very much for doxing me publicly. So my name's Matt. I'm head of product at Lombard. Yeah, joined back last May. It's been an incredible experience over the past year, and we've got a wonderful team, some of which are obviously here today. Been in crypto for a long time, I guess 9, 10 years now. I ran the engineering team and the product team at Argent, which is a non-custodial smart contract-based wallet. So original pioneers with a lot of kind of topics that we take for granted, such as account abstraction, guardians, social recovery. The whole premise being to basically serve the unbanked globally via crypto. Pre-crypto, used to work at Deutsche Bank as the first employee in an innovation lab. So we had a crack team of commandos to build mobile user experiences for different departments within the bank and our external clients as well. And in some ways, even though that was a long time ago, it's not too dissimilar to what we do now. We bring people into crypto, into Bitcoin staking, just as we were bringing different kind of stakeholders into lots of different products at Deutsche Bank. Same challenges, risk, security, user experience, onboarding, etc. So good to have that consistency of journey, I think, throughout my career. Thank you. I'll throw the ball over to Kev.
Yes, hello everyone. Kev, same as Matt, joined the team right around May of last year. I'm on the product side as well, so I work closely with Mr. Matt Marshall, leading the overall application, working closely with the design and eng teams, and obviously on the strategy as well. I also have the pleasure of working closely with Mr. Donovan to my right here on some of the sales side, which is a wonderful experience. Before Lombard, worked at Gartner Research, where I was researching different L1s, L2s in the Ethereum ecosystem, which was a great experience to learn a lot about crypto. So that was like fresh out of undergrad. And then after a while, I learned that I didn't want to just research about it. I wanted to build it. So I moved into the infrastructure space. And then that's where I had the pleasure of meeting Maxime, known Maxime for a long time, one of my oldest crypto friends. And then through Maxime, got linked up with Jacob, learned about Babylon and Bitcoin staking and his vision for building a BTC LST. And since then, joined the team and haven't really looked back since then. So it's been a great experience and really looking forward to the future here. And I guess with that, I'll pass it over to Mr. Maxime.
Great. Thank you. So yeah, my name is Maxime. I lead DeFi at Lombard, focusing primarily on making LBTC as useful as possible in DeFi, all sorts of vertical integrations that allow you to stack some additional yield on top of your LBTC, or maybe simply collateralize it because you don't want to sell this beautiful asset and you want to borrow some dollars against it. All of this stuff is top of my mind every day. With regards to my previous experience, it was fairly related. So I spent a year and a half previously in liquid staking on Ethereum, and then working in a quite a similar role. And then I spent another year and a half in portfolio management for a liquid fund. And before my crypto career, I did commodities trading. Traded palm oil globally across the world. It's a funny, interesting business. Don't want to go too deep into that, but maybe it's worth actually to write a tweet about it. It's actually quite interesting. Anyway, yeah, working closely day to day with all of the folks here, and yeah, happy to be here on the stream. Jacob, do you want to take it?
Maybe I'll pass it to Mr. Donovan first, and I'll go last.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, guys. So Matt Donovan, lead business development at Lombard. Feel free to call me Dono for short. Mr. Marshall had joined Lombard prior to myself, and turns out Matt's not the most common name. So Dono for short is great. But yeah, on the Lombard front, on a BD capacity, we work across everything from Bitcoin liquidity providers to core infrastructure partners like security consortium members, along with the finality provider partners. We work with different L1s and L2s to mint LBTC on and do great ecosystem development around. And then we have our own products that we're sort of leaning into. The Lombard SDK is a perfect example of this, working very closely with Mr. Kev Silk on this, getting a lot of traction and integration with different folks across wallets, exchanges, custodians, fintechs, and even increasingly mining pools, which has been exciting. And maybe to wrap it out and round it out, on the institutional side is becoming a pretty big push and focus for us. So prior to Lombard, I spent around 6 years at Ripple, worked with everyone from payment providers to banks, asset managers, hedge funds. And so it's been really fun kind of tapping back into that network. And in a world where tokenization, stablecoins, and Bitcoin are extremely top of mind, we're offering really interesting infrastructure, middleware, as well as net new assets that they can integrate into their different products and services. So, building with this group has been, an amazing experience. And I think what excites me the most is we're kind of just getting started. So excited for the live stream and having continued, emphasis around, building the right way and doing it with this great group.
Sweet. Charlotte, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I'm Charlotte. I lead marketing and comms, and that also means doing events and customer service and all that good stuff that comes with working in crypto. We at Lombard are a small team of two. Kirthy's actually behind the scenes today running this live stream, but we're a small team of two that run all of the marketing and customer support, etc. So we are able to interface a lot with our users, whether that's on Twitter or in Discord, or at events that we're hosting. And that's what really brings me joy, is speaking to people, getting feedback, and being able to feed that back to the team and build this product to make people happy. Before I joined Lombard, I was at Maple Finance. Shout out Joe and Sid, running their marketing for about 2 years. And then before that, I was actually in tech. So I was at TikTok and Facebook before that, doing B2B marketing. And I think that's a part of the job that I also really enjoy doing as well. A lot of LBTC, the way that LBTC is obviously like B2B2C, right? So I really enjoy that breadth of the role, in that sometimes I'm working with Maxim and Matt on chain integrations and DeFi partner integrations and collaborating there. And then the other side of the role is, in Discord, talking to people and understanding how they're using the product. So I really enjoy the breadth of that role and the scope of the role. And since joining Lombard, being able to do all of that, and that brings me lots of joy. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And so I guess we could throw to Jacob, whose role kind of covers every single aspect of Lombard.
Yeah, awesome. Hearing you guys all talk about kind of the origin stories of Lombard is bringing me a lot of it's making my heart really warm, because this is 5 of the earliest Lombard leaders, all of which who joined at a very early stage. So like Charlotte was actually the first person to join Lombard outside of the early crew, and I think it was like the fastest interview process anyone has ever gone through. We like talked on a Tuesday, and then there was a doc outlining a whole marketing plan on like Wednesday, and then by Friday she was just like, yeah, I'm just going to do some stuff over the weekend. Let me know if this works out. And I think what stands out about Charlotte is her sort of passion and joy for Lombard users. I think she's really sort of set the community culture, and so hopefully everyone recognized that. And then Mr. Marshall, I think maybe joined like a couple days after that or something like that. We were moving really quick at the beginning. And Matt is head of product at Lombard, but I think he does so much more. He really is like stepped up as a leader within the organization. I remember seeing his resume, and I was like, man, this is probably the most overqualified head of product in history. Guy was a former CTO, was a developer for many years in crypto, even was COO at a market maker. I mean, it's been a real pleasure having him on board, because few people bring the wealth of experience that he does. Mr. Maxim and Kev, just kind of going in order here. Maxim and Kev were there the day that Lombard started. So this is like all of us out in Singapore jamming on the idea of Bitcoin liquid staking with the Babylon team, and just a group of friends that we all kind of thrown together to attack this. Maxim, I spent 3-ish years at Polychain, thinking I knew DeFi, and Maxim schools me on a daily basis. So there's few better DeFi researchers in the space, and we're privileged to have one of those on our team. Kev, I obviously met Kev out at the kind of first unofficial Lombard offsite in Singapore, and the guy has just been an absolute workhorse ever since. You want Kev anywhere around the world at any point in time, or you need anything done, he'll do it. And if anything, Kev keeps me in line, make sure that I'm hitting the deadlines I should be. So Kev is great. And last, Mr. Donovan. So my favorite story about Mr. Donovan is we were sort of going back and forth, trying to decide if there was going to be a great fit for Lombard. And I'm like, I don't know, do you have like any writing you could share with me or something like that? And we're like trying to come up with something. Finally, he's just like, all right, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to spend the weekend putting together a deck. There's like a 30-page slide deck in my Telegram inbox on a Monday morning. I wake up, I'll flip through this. I'm like, holy shit. And that I think is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the work ethic of this guy. So he's been he's been someone who I think has come in and professionalized everything we've done on the BD side, and hopefully you'll see that very soon. You've seen that in the way we operate, and you'll see that very soon in some of the institutional partnerships we're going to announce. So yeah, I don't know. I work with all of these folks in some respect, kind of work across all functions on the non-technical side. And I've learned a ton from everybody on this call. And also, Tottenham Hotspur coming up today in the Europa League final. So if anybody's watching, hopefully no United fans.
That's great. I think perhaps we should actually just get Jacob to introduce everyone next time.
Exactly.
What a hype man.
Yeah, thanks.
It's my dream. If the crypto thing doesn't work out, I will officially go be a hype man.
Yeah.
If there's any rappers in the crowd.
Your Spurs could probably use it.
That's true. It'll be a fun one. We'll see.
That was actually going to be one of my questions, is if you weren't at Lombard, what would you be doing? And maybe that is yours, Jacob.
That's a good question. I wasn't at Lombard. I don't know. It's at this. Yeah, exactly. At this point, I always joke that I've been in crypto so long that I don't have skills outside of crypto. Originally, I was going to do some traditional finance stuff, which I think would have been good. Both my parents are professors, so they always. I think at some point in my life, hopefully, I'll have to make my way down that road. But I don't know. Anybody have a better answer to that?
I think Kev and Dono do, actually, because they're both sporting champions in my eyes. And so if they weren't here, I think they'd be on a pitch somewhere, right?
I think there's yeah, go for it, Kev.
I was just gonna say, I think maybe I would just manage like 10 different American fantasy football teams, because I know I couldn't be like a sports general manager, so I would just zone in on fantasy football. That's probably what I would do. Yeah, I don't know. I think Don and I are obviously big American sports fans, so when we say football, we think of the National Football League, which we're on the off season for. But yeah, I don't know, sports. I don't know, maybe something like health nutrition. I don't know what I would do outside of crypto. There isn't really much. It's really much outside of that. I don't know, Donna. What do you think?
I was gonna say there's maybe a difference between what I would love to do and like to do versus what's realistic. So yeah, certainly some type of real, like, whether it's soccer, tennis, golf, I think that would be pretty fun. But I even on the non like crypto, I think if I was to build within crypto and it wasn't in the context of Lombard, I think doing something that straddles the line of like AI and monetize your data would be pretty fun. I tried to do this in like 2015 and no one cared. And I think people are kind of waking up a little bit. And maybe there's something to be built there. But on the non like work front, man, I think it'd be pretty nice to buy a plot of land, learn how to farm, and kind of just go off the grid for a little bit. So I think that would maybe like farm to table restaurant in the mix there. But
let's double click on that, Donald.
Yeah.
So Donald gave me one of the greatest pieces of advice ever. We were out to dinner. I forget we were at Dubai maybe, and he said, write down where you want to be, where you see yourself 4 to 5 years from now. Someone had given Donald this advice. Have I done that yet? No, I do need to get to that. But I was like, what did you write? And he goes, I saw myself out on a farm, raising some chicken, raising some cattle, really basically cooking, not only cooking, but also growing my own food. And I looked at him in shock. Like, that's really where you see yourself? Because when you see him, he's absolutely incredible, so professional and so skillful when it comes to the institutional sales side here. And I didn't see him becoming a farmer, a decade from now. So I guess a bit of an interesting fact about Donald that the rest of the team has just found out.
I'm equally surprised to hear this, but it makes sense.
I told you that in private, Kev.
Well, now the entire community knows.
No, it's all good. Work your way back, I guess. But yeah.
That's awesome. And thank you for sharing, whether that was meant to be shared or not. It's appreciated. I want to go back in time like a little bit, because I think that the founding story is really interesting. You touched on it a little bit, Jacob, and that you were in a room with the Babylon folks and had this Apple drop moment to create a Bitcoin LST. But could you talk to us a little bit about the conversations that were happening in that room and how ultimately it then came to life?
Yeah, definitely. I'll try my best, and maybe you guys can sort of help fill in the gaps if I miss anything. So I usually tie back the origin story to like DeFi summer 2020, when Bitcoin DeFi is first starting to pop off, and there's like some early iterations on this. People are getting excited about Rootstock. Badger DAO became really big. So when I was at Polychain, we invested in Badger DAO, and this was supposed to be the big opportunity for us to onboard Bitcoin into DeFi. And I think Badger DAO went up to $2 billion. I'm pretty sure the deal we did at Polychain was like the Pico top of Bitcoin DeFi in 2020. And we always knew there was this obvious opportunity. It was just a matter of when is the right timing. And it just so happened that at having myself and some of our close partners having had a front row seat to the Eigenlayer seed round, and then the Babylon Series A at Polychain. I mean, I think we sort of saw what was about to come with Bitcoin staking. Bitcoin staking was the big unlock that was going to be the catalyst that would onboard a ton of Bitcoin into DeFi. And so we were sitting there at the beginning of years. I was wrapping up a 2-year stint at Perps Protocol, and the way this all came together was a lot of friends and sort of mutual folks who had been looking to build something together for quite a while just finally find the right opportunity. And so, the way this worked was the idea was kind of proposed. We ended up all flying out to Singapore for a week, sort of on a whim. Everybody, I mean, that really, I think, is the MO of this company, is that like anyone will drop anything to to attack this opportunity at any point in time. So we all flew out to Singapore. We were in a hotel conference room for like 4 days. People were coming in and out. We had big Bitcoin holders. We had the Babylon team. We had a ton of Lombard folks and close friends flying in and out to help jam on this idea. I think maybe after that we took like a week or two for everybody to kind of like let the idea settle and be like, okay, are we going to go full head on and attack this and go 100% of this opportunity? And yeah, sure enough, that happened. And then I think right after that, Charlotte and Matt came on board, and then we all ended up flying. I mean, immediately after, we ended up flying out to to San Francisco, and we had our first full team official Lombard offsite down in South Bay, which was really fun. Yeah, I mean, the gist of it for all of this was that the timing was just right. Bitcoin DeFi was ready for this opportunity. You had so many, I mean, you had like 4 or 5 different angles through which Bitcoin DeFi was about to come together. You had culture shifts in Bitcoin. You had DeFi, Bitcoin L2 starting to pop up. You had the momentum around Eigenlayer, which was then going to transition into excitement around Babylon staking. Everything was sort of coming together all at the right time. And in retrospect, like, it seemed so obvious to us at that point in time, but I realized in retrospect that it actually wasn't as obvious as we may have seemed internally. And now I look back on that as like, we just made the perfect bet at the perfect time, and everything kind of came together. I mean, certainly not withstanding a ton of hard work from everyone on the team. I mean, I think we started that project in April, kind of went at it full steam ahead. In May, we were basically together all summer in Europe, building this out. Shipped the first version in August. Went to $1 billion in TVL by October or November or something like that. And now we're here. Man, I don't know. It's been a bit of a whirlwind. I'm sure I missed some stuff, but anything anybody has to add to that story?
I like how you say that it wasn't necessarily obvious, and yeah, I believe we, like, in Babylon, in Lombard, around the people around us in our network, everyone did such an amazing job to work this into existence, rather than just some perfect storm. I don't think there was one until like a couple $1 billion in Babylon's TVL, and then obviously just it was rolling much better, and it was way more obvious. But originally, I think it was just a perfect setup of people working on it, rather than like an obvious opportunity.
Yeah, I think for me, before Lombard, I got to travel a lot for work. Just Ripple being, by nature, a cross-border payments company. So whether it was to Latin America, APAC, MENA, a lot of different places. And through those meetings, obviously, I always tried to stay focused on, preaching the good word around Ripple and XRP and payments. But it was inevitably so clear that, from a crypto asset perspective and adoption, it was Bitcoin and everything else. And so, while I was working and finishing my time on the Ripple side, it was focused on tokenization. And so, trying to actually put capital markets and securities on chain was also quite difficult. Not necessarily from building up the supply side and putting assets on chain, but actually building up a really robust and dynamic and liquid market from a secondary perspective. And so, in a world where, on the Lombard front, what they were building as I was doing the interview process, it was just focused on Bitcoin. And by nature, focusing on a commodity, it was really a light bulb. And so, met the rest of the team and really understood like what this vision amounted to, and certainly kind of tied into the Babylon, dynamic and infrastructure as that major catalyst to onboard Bitcoin and make it an actual productive financial tool in an actual yield-bearing format. In all the conversations I was having at the institutional perspective, I knew that these worlds would collide at some point. And so that to me was sort of the major light bulb and aha moment. And, as I was going through that process, I kept asking Jacob while I was doing some, due diligence and research on my own of like, why do you genuinely think Lombard's different and has the ability to supersede everyone trying to tackle a similar market? He's like, you just got to meet the team. And so, after meeting each individual and going through that process, man, it's so true. And I think it ultimately comes down to how much we care about the problem that we're trying to solve and how dedicated people are to make it happen, whether that's traveling to different locations or just getting things done on any given day. Weekends doesn't really matter. And so we certainly are tackling a very hard, difficult problem, but I think the team here that we work with on a day-to-day basis has made it extremely exciting and something that continues to make me excited to open up the laptop day in, day out and kind of tackle this problem together.
Totally. Matt, great framing. Maxim, I think, put it really well. It's not just the Lombard team. It's like everybody in the early Lombard community that threw everything into this project from an early stage. I mean, even at that Singapore, the Lombard wasn't even a thing, and we probably had like 15 or 20 people in that room. At the offsite, I mean, I can't think of how many people came through that house in Saratoga when we were all posted up in the Airbnb to come help us out. We've had so many people within the Lombard team, outside of the Lombard team, advisors, investors, everybody's kind of, threw everything they could into Lombard at a very early stage, was part of the reason we were successful. We generally think of this as like a sort of social unification of the DeFi space around Bitcoin. And I think we couldn't have done that without, everybody went to bat for us.
Yeah, I'd say that's really fair. Is like, there's so much energy in building Lombard, both internally and externally, that it was kind of ours to lose, so and still very much we feel that way. It's like, hey, we've got this amazing opportunity, and we just got to stay super committed to it and execute in the best way possible, which actually leads me on to wanting to speak to Matt and Kev, who, because we're a team here of product and commercial folks, and we've really been talking about the commercial existence of Lombard and ultimately, our network and having the idea and being able to have these really solid go-to-markets. But I'm really interested in hearing from Matt and Kev and hearing and allowing them to share their experience of actually building Lombard, building the infrastructure that has brought this to life. From a smart contract level, but then also from an application level that 100,000 users interact with pretty frequently. So Matt, maybe I can throw to you and you can talk about some of the highlights and challenges of bringing Lombard into the world.
Sounds good. We've got about 3 hours, correct? Everyone's with us for that long? Hopefully there's a thumbs up. So I think from a product perspective, one of the biggest challenges for Kev and myself has really been, well, at the start, it's dealing with a lot of conflicting ideas and opinions and thoughts of what way we could take the product, what we could build. So for us, being able to iterate on those ideas and form an opinionated view of what product we should build, I think is the most important part. I've seen it time and time again when startups from day one think they can build 10 different features, 5 different product offerings, and they just want to hedge their bets and be a bit cautious on the market and try to appease too many people. A good example of that is one of the initial discussions we had for many, many hours was, do we go out with one token or multiple tokens and different representations of yield and principal, etc. And we spent, I think, days actually focusing on that before coming to the conclusion of simplicity is best. Liquidity is king when it comes to the DeFi side. We need to be opinionated and we need to build that one product and sell that one product to the market. And that's what we did. And we never looked back on that as a decision. So that, I think, was one of the biggest challenges. And then being able to iterate on what we've built as well. So making sure we've got all of the analytics in place, both publicly with our June dashboards that we have, both for DeFi and at Lombard Protocol one, as well as for our web app, what kind of wallets are people using, what's our audience, where are they located. We use Mixpanel for a lot of that, as well as internal metrics too. So being able to be data driven as we grow, and to be informed as our audience, and obviously to listen to all the feedback that we get on Discord and Twitter, etc., has enabled us to kind of grow with a very steady trajectory, and not just in bursts, which I think has been fantastic. And we've obviously evolved the product since then. And that comes to all different parts. So early on, we spend a lot of time on obviously on security and what the security model of the protocol would look like, to make sure that we had appropriate controls, safeguards in place, and that we were building a product which would work on day one and would work on day 365 as well, and 5 years later. So we took a very, I would say, mature and simplistic approach to security, which enabled us to be fully confident with how the protocol operates, and enable us over time to look at different technical innovations, which other projects are building on as well. And excited to start doing that in the future. And we'll talk more about that later as well. Kev, what are your thoughts?
I would say simplicity is everything, liquidity is king. Those are probably the two biggest things for us. You just mentioned it, and that's what goes into the application as well, right? So when we think about it from an application perspective, it needs to be as simple as possible. And that's not just because it's Bitcoin, that's because in any application, you want to make it as easy as possible. And those are two things that Matt and I were absolutely just dead set on. It needs to be the simplest application. And my mind goes back to the original application that we had, where it was a much different branding, coloring, and logos back in May of 2024. But I remember thinking we almost launched with that, and it was a far different application than what it is now. And the reason why I bring that up is because it was complex, and it was a very good thing that we did not go out with that. So once Matt and I got linked up, and obviously had great insights from Charlotte and Jacob, Maxime, and the rest of the very, very early people. And then Dono, when he came on some of those ideas that they had, I'd say one of the challenges, bringing all of those ideas and then actually executing on it, using data to ensure that we're making critical decisions that our users are going to feel comfortable with depositing their Bitcoin into. So everything that Matt had mentioned is absolutely critical. And then when we think about security, not just on the smart contract level, but I would say a big part of the product is security, and more specifically the security consortium. And that's something that we had in mind in the very, very beginning, right? And although it was more of a partnership-driven initiative here, capturing some of the best protocols in crypto to come in and validate and secure the protocol, that is a massive part of the product as well. So everything that Matt had mentioned in terms of simplicity, liquidity, but also security are core components of the product. And going back into the different, say, like 3 launches that we've had, I believe it was August or July of 2024 when we launched the private beta with the previous mint green UI, as we all remember, like Dono's shirt right now, and then going out with the public beta, which was, I believe, September. Those were very fun, but quite challenging moments, I would say, on the product side, and then just Lombard in general. And those are 2 pretty proud moments, I think, that we all have, because there were so many different initiatives that went into that on the sales side, on the marketing side, on the DeFi side. So I guess I'm just reminiscing on the product launches that we've had here. And it's only the beginning, right? We'll continue to innovate. We'll continue to make it more simple, and continue to drive, potentially some new products here to give BTC users what they want, which is liquidity, security, and obviously simplicity as well.
I love that. I think everyone here is like really keen to share some more alpha, right, on what's coming next. And I'm going to leave that to Jacob at the end, just to tease maybe some of the things that are coming up, because I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say. And also because there's a couple of questions coming in on the Twitter thread about upcoming plans in LBTC's roadmap, partnerships, upcoming partnerships, and how we're going to take LBTC beyond an ERC20 equivalent and do other stuff as well. So we'll come to those questions at the end that are coming through on the stream. Keep them coming, and we'll spend 5 minutes talking about those at the end. But that's a heads up to you, Jacob, to think about what we fancy revealing and what we are going to keep secret for a little bit longer. So yeah, thanks guys on that. One thing I want to do is just like a little quick round of a day in the life of each of us. I know we all do so many things, so if we could try and get it down to like 10 things that we do each day, that'd be really awesome. I'm going to throw this to Maxim first, because Maxim sort of sits across the whole of the team. He interfaces with everybody, whether that's product or marketing or BD. And sometimes I don't even know what he's up to, because he's in so many conversations and doing so much. So Maxim, maybe you could just like share what a day in your life looks like, so we can all get a bit closer to you.
Yeah, well, as you said, it's fairly volatile, hectic. I just, as a follow-up from what Cav said, the simplicity is key. My role is to basically make Cav's life difficult with the simplicity aspect of things. Oftentimes, the sorts of partnerships, integrations, the BD team comes up with is not simple in a sense of, the timelines are always very tough. Sometimes the products are just simply new. The technical arrangements need to be different, be it like the bridging side of things, or the vault providers, or all those different types of parties, that third parties that are involved into Lombard product suite. They all have different approaches, and this all results into a lot of coordination on the product side to handle this, and I try to support on my side wherever I can. With regards to the marketing, this is something I actually, Charlotte, recently recognized that we talk a little bit less recently. So I would love to go back to our proper weekly setup. So normally, I would be observing how our users behave in the DeFi sense. What are the hottest integrations? What are the new upcoming integrations? How do they stack together, and how do they contribute to our ecosystem penetration? All of this stuff needs to be communicated properly, and this is where obviously marketing team is trying to convey all of this via all the official channels, Discord, Twitter, blogs, etc. So this is the part where trying to convey, explain all of this in simple terms is extremely important. So this is where I also would be supporting the marketing team, and then from the more like foundational layers, there is always this incentives part of the story, which Lombard is running its own luminary program, and we have our own expectations. What is the most desired user behavior, and the behavior we would want to drive, and this is where this luminary Lux system comes into play. This is something that I was designing from day zero, and we made a lot of learnings there. We are able to be more flexible with it today, but in the early days it was kind of walking in the dark. The extremely useful thing for the incentives was our vaults. the vault, the Lombard DeFi vault, the original vault that was launched. I believe it was launched like almost in the same months, where together with our public Lombard deposit flow. That product is the most incentivized from the Lombard side of things. The reason for that is because we can then make sure the assets are utilized in the best possible way. So this is where I would spend also my time on working closely with the manager of the vault to make sure that all the necessary aspects of what Lombard needs are met. So those include liquidity. The vault is the biggest liquidity provider for LBTC. This is what guarantees the robustness of the peg. LST is only as useful as it is liquid, and we do have a redemption period, which is primarily dictated by the Babylon staking rules. But again, people should be able to liquidate their asset immediately. So liquidity is very important. Then we were also introducing many new use cases. Before Bitcoin LSTs, there was no Bitcoin lending and borrowing happening outside of Aave. And as you can imagine, for the early days project to get listed on Aave is quite a challenge. So we got there eventually through a very robust due diligence process. But in the early days, what the vault was doing was basically seeding the lending markets outside of Aave, where there was simply no Bitcoin. Lending markets like Euler, like Zero Land, like Morpho. And what we actually did, we were seeding the WBTC and CBBTC liquidity, and then the marketing teams of the DeFi projects and Lombard were promoting the use case of looping and leveraging your LBTC, your liquid staked asset, which is yield bearing, leveraging it against non-yielding asset to generate the yield coming from the spread between the borrowing cost and the staking yield. So yeah, I guess I'm getting a little bit too deep, but yeah, I guess if I would summarize, well, it's actually hard. Yeah, if I would summarize, it's a lot of BD. It's mostly BD. On the protocol level, I work a lot with Mr. Donovan and Jacob when we approach the ecosystems to get to know their DeFi ecosystem and design a proper incentive program with the ecosystem. That ecosystem will be using to bring LBTC holders to them. Then yeah, it would be on the marketing side or the product side. It would be primarily on a higher level. Yeah, I guess that would be a good roundup.
It's a great way of saying your chief points farmer.
Exactly.
Maybe to build off that and just kind of giving a lens into what does the day in the life look like on the BD side. So at the end of the day, what we're always focused on is distribution and utility, right? Maybe that comes in the form of launching LBTC on a net new chain or integrating with a new DeFi protocol. It can come in the form of our SDK, which again is gaining a lot of traction and already integrated with the likes of Binance, Bybit, and a handful of announcements we'll make in the coming weeks. And then for me, it's building up the business cases with these different institutions, asset managers, banks, hedge funds, really you name it, along with those who provide them the core infrastructure to actually touch and access these assets like custodians. So it's a wide range. We wear multiple hats, but at the end of the day, it's always focused on who can help us deliver on the distribution side. And sometimes it is tricky to understand what's realistic from a near-term, mid-term, long-term perspective. But this is sort of the juggling act that we have to perform because distribution can come in a lot of different ways and flavors. But I think the fun part for me is that we have such great expertise from folks, particularly on this call, where there's a lot of good partnership, even internally, about how we divide and conquer to ensure that we're always top of mind for the folks mentioned. So that's a bit of a day in the life, ebbs and flows, but every day is pretty exciting, and it's fun working with this group in particular.
Yeah, no 2 days are the same. And actually, just to give a little bit of alpha, a day in my life, I'll just give today's, for example. So today, I've been reviewing new website pages that the in-house team of front-end devs have pulled together, as well as our in-house designer. So that's been designed and built, and I've been clicking around doing first testing of that today. I've also been speaking to an external agency to develop a video for a big moment in time, which is coming next week. Trying to get Jacob's feedback, even though time zones are a bit different. So always chasing Jacob is part of my job. And ultimately working with Kirthi to bring this live stream together, and reviewing some blog posts, etc., to be going out next week as the new website goes out as well. So that's a day in my life. And then I'll also take internal meetings and external meetings too. So whilst I'm not external facing so much or working in the BD team, I have a lot of partner calls about go-to-markets, whether that's for a new chain or a new DeFi protocol, or even a provider, a service provider to us. So maybe they're providing a security or an infra service to Lombard, and I'll be chatting to those guys about how we can share that news and that information with the world. So that's a day in my life, and a little bit of alpha just to keep you all happy.
And just to clarify, Charlotte, the video, is that for our Netflix series or is that for something else?
If Jacob gives me the budget, then yeah.
That could be fun. It could be like reality TV, just the Lombard team, just us at our computers all day.
Yeah, I don't know how fun. Yeah, that could be fun. That could be fun. There's plenty crypto Netflix documentaries. They don't need another one. All right. Is there anything that anyone wants to share with the world or get off their chest? Maybe it's about how much you love working at Lombard, or where you see Lombard going, or what excites you day to day. If you want to share that, definitely go ahead and do it. And then I'm going to throw to Jacob to wrap up and share some alpha about what's coming up.
I have one quick thing, Charlotte, and actually echoes what Donna was talking about, just in terms of how we operate internally, but also the distribution of LBTC regarding the SDK. So the SDK, it's a really powerful product of ours, and it's obviously something that you can't see, you can't actually use unless you're a developer. But this has been a very fun thing to work on, and it's something that I think it excites all of us. Because it not only helps and gets LBTC into the hands of users, but it also empowers a lot of the protocols that we work with, right? I mean, as Dono had mentioned, the SDK is integrated with Binance and Bybit, two amazing partners of Lombard. But one of the great things about this SDK, as we continue to build it out, when we're discussing with the other protocols, we're understanding what they want to offer their users, right? Whether it's a wallet, it's an exchange, it's a mining pool, whoever it may be, gaining understanding from them in terms of what their clients want, what their users want. We're able to capture that information, and then it helps us innovate as well. So the SDK is something that's very important to me. It's something that the rest of the team here has been absolutely just super helpful on. And I'd say that it's a core product of ours that's continuing to innovate as well. And I'm excited for the community and the rest of the market to see how this continues to evolve as we soon announce some of the near-term partners that we have.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so used to being on internal calls with you guys and sending love heart emojis. I was like, where's the love? But thanks for sharing that, Kev.
I was thinking the same thing, Charlotte. But that's kind of weird, even though I just did it.
You've got a little bromance going on, you two, anyway.
It's finally recorded. I'm gonna have to find that for later.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than what I was going to say, that tomorrow is an important day because it's Bitcoin Pizza Day.
It is.
Just as a heads
Wow,
up for
great
everyone.
timing.
yeah, very exciting day. And actually, that's interesting, especially from a marketing perspective. The amount of people that sort of reach out of like, oh, join our moment celebrating Bitcoin Pizza Day. And so there's going to be lots of activity on Twitter tomorrow, which is always very exciting. And always a great feeling that, really established protocols like Binance and Bybit reach out to you and want you to join in that celebration. So yeah, gives me a nice warm fuzzy feeling when all of that happens. So yeah, tomorrow will be a fun day. I just want to answer a few Twitter questions that have come in, just because we are getting close to time. So I'm just sharing them with you guys as well, so feel free to answer them. But the first question was, are we active on X? Yes, we are. And we have actually just dropped all of our Twitter handles into the thread. So go and follow us or DM us if you so wish. We're all very public. You can also find us on LinkedIn and check out where we've worked before, etc. But yes, definitely go and follow us. I think I've got 700 followers, so I could always do with a few more. So that was question one. And question number two is going to be, how can I get more involved in being Lombard's intern or joining the team? So actually right now we are hiring for back-end engineers, a customer success manager. So if you're interested in either of those, do let us know and I can send you the job description. And we have a established Yappa program. So if you are good at tweeting, definitely tweet about Lombard, and you can get paid out as a result of that by joining Kaito and being part of that Yappa program. And we will soon be revealing a really fleshed out ambassador program where 10 people will be able to become official Lombard ambassadors, and we'll be searching for people across the world to be our official ambassadors and be an extension of this wonderful team, because as much as we'd like to be everywhere, we can't be. All right, some more serious questions, like what's next for Lombard Finance's product roadmap? And thinking about how we're going to be scaling LBTC in DeFi and enhancing institutional custody solutions. So maybe institutional custody solutions I could throw to Dono or Matt, whoever wants to take that. And then product roadmap, maybe that's a Matt and a Jacob one.
Yeah, quickly on the institutional custody side. So nothing to share as of yet, but do know that we've been talking to the top custodians globally, right? Worked with a lot of these folks for a number of years. I think we're ultimately just trying to understand how do we make this as a strategic relationship as possible. And we want to limit the scope, right? And who we actually work with and are able to support, mint redeem, for instance, through these custody solutions. So do know that we are very hard working at this, as well as want to ensure that we have global coverage. So not just, one custodian out of the West or the East, but ensuring that we're capturing the globe just based on sort of, the bread and butter of how these custodians operate, who are their customers, but ultimately want to have as deep of an integration and a partnership with these folks as possible. So sometimes, the best stuff does take some time, but do know that we've been hard at work on this for the last number of months and are going to be in a great position to share a little bit more in the coming weeks or quarter.
Very good. And I think perhaps we could talk about custody setups in a different session. We could talk for a long time about that. I think there's a lot we've done behind the scenes, which the wider community probably isn't as aware of unless they've been diving through our Gitbook. I'll throw it straight to Jacob on the roadmap side, if that's okay.
He's either pretending to be frozen because he doesn't.
Yeah, great.
Jacob.
Okay, am I back now? You guys, all of you just froze for me simultaneously, so maybe it was my fault. Was the question being thrown back to me, or what? Where were we?
Yeah. So roadmap. What's next? What's up and coming?
Okay, so I feel like we'll keep the roadmap maybe a little bit more concealed because we're going to have a big announcement coming up on this next week that I think will reveal all of this. But what I would say is where Lombard is headed is exactly in the direction we've been headed the entire time. If you go back and listen to every way we've articulated Lombard from the beginning, we are just double or tripling down on that focus. We're not getting fragmented by exploring other assets. Bitcoin is it. Bitcoin is what we're going to be focused on. We aren't doing anything that we haven't already been doing. We're going to continue with the mission of turning Bitcoin into a productive asset, focusing on distributing Bitcoin into new ecosystems. I was actually listening back to some of the early talks from Andreas Antonopoulos, who I think is just a brilliant articulator of everything that Bitcoin is and is meant to be. And he describes this idea of like, speech is unregulated through the internet. It becomes, a one true, unified freedom across the whole world. Anybody can sort of say anything without fear of, without fear of government backlash or something like that. And yet our whole financial system is built upon this, this regulatory framework, or rather the financial system doesn't exist outside of government entities. And for the first time, Bitcoin was able to create like the simplest form of financial activity in the form of like peer-to-peer payments through a currency outside of any other system. This is like just such a massive advancement in terms of freedom of finance. And I think that vision that Satoshi was originally coming up with only comes true if certain infrastructure gets built out. And I think what Lombard's building is going to be core to this. Right now, if you want to build on Bitcoin, you build a centralized custodian, or you build a centralized exchange, or you go become regulated. And I think the idea of a permissionless money that only exists on permissioned rails seems a little bit silly. And Lombard, as a distributor of Bitcoin throughout all the existing ecosystems where permissionless innovation flourishes, I think is sort of core to advancing everything we've built. Permissionless money needs permissionless finance. And so, we have taken everything that we've learned over the past 12 months from Bitcoin holders. We've sort of, I don't know, through the course of maybe 2 or 3 on-sites and off-sites, kind of culminated this into what we're envisioning as a vertically integrated Bitcoin stack that we're going to, start discussing more in the coming weeks. And I think all of this will be sort of a unified stack of solutions for Bitcoin holders looking to do more with it. We're not creating new problems. I think this is the biggest issue in the BTC DeFi space is Bitcoin DeFi projects are trying to like tell users what they want. We've sat there and listened for a year and are now putting that into action. So again, in a lot of ways, I don't think the products should come out as surprising, but I think, again, the MO for Lombard from the beginning has been our execution. We've made things happen when others haven't. Lombard was the first to sort of distribute Bitcoin throughout DeFi. You had Aave and Pendle and Morpho and Gearbox for the first time ever get excited about Bitcoin collateral. And now we're going to take that to the next level. So I think that's kind of the gist of it. Just look out for us. I'm super excited. I mean, the rebrand will come out soon in tandem with a lot of kind of new articulation of what Lombard is and where we're headed. But all of this is just staying the same course that we've been on the whole time. So I hope that many years from now we look back on Lombard as very, very key financial infrastructure for advancing everything that Bitcoin is.
I wish I could do the heart emoji as well right now. We need what is the name of this? StreamYard to get that Slack feature in there.
Agreed.
No, and that was just Jacob hyping up next week. It's going to be a big one for all of us, and we're so excited. We're going to be at Bitcoin Vegas, where all of the things that Jacob was just talking about will be revealed. And please do keep external questions coming in, whether that's on this thread or in DMs or in Discord. We are always around and listening and here to chat. I'm wrapping up because it's 4:00 and we've all got meetings to go to. But we've shared our Twitter handles on the thread, so do follow us there and join us for the next Lombard Lounge, which I think we're going to do a DeFi focus, or we might do a new Lombard Vision focus. Let's see. But yeah, lots more of these to come. And thank you all for joining.
I thought we were going to stay on the call until Bitcoin hits a new all-time high. maybe that will also be the second episode, so people should definitely tune in for that one as well.
We should do a watch party like all the exchanges do.
$300 away. So, very good. Thank you.
Happy all-time high.
Happy all time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
That was awesome. Yo, thanks for organizing this. This was really cool. Hold on. I can't quite hear you, but
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
oh, good. Okay.
No, this was awesome, and I loved how interactive it was. Like we didn't stay on any one topic for a long time. It was amazing, and we actually got a lot of engagement. People were asking questions, so this was sick.
Sweet. Cool. All right, I'm gonna hop off. I'll talk to you in like 30 minutes, Kirti.
Yep.
Cool.
See you.
All right. See you.